Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Northeast Water Talk series again. Today, we are going to hear two more interesting stories from Northeast, one from Manipur and one from Assam itself. So, today's Water Talk series is going to be shared by Ravindranath. We know him very well. Ravi was an electrical engineer by profession. He shifted his career to social work, come down to the Northeast during the 80s, started working in Arunachal Pradesh and finally settled down in Akajan Gaon. He was an Ashoka Fellow in 2007, and also Ravi is whom we call Guruji, is who from the Rural Volunteer Center in Akajan, Silapatra, Dhemaji, Assam, one of the best social organizations in the country in the place. Now he's the president of Voluntary Health Associations of Assam. He was also a member of taskforce, National Disaster Management Authority, and the Ministry of Home Affairs. Also former executive director of SAMPDA, a network of Barefoot College, Rajsthan. He is going to share these sessions, today's sessions. So I would mostly welcome Ravindranath Guruji to share this session.
Okay, thank you, Keshav Satradhara. Few points to bring to the attention of everybody. So somewhere it is scarcity, somewhere it is surplus. Where it is scarce, there is higher poverty, there is sanitation problem, diseases, conflict, and biodiversity problem. And where there is surplus, there is floods, and then there is loss of life and property, lot of damages. So these are the situation all over world. Generally, water crisis now, it is said that it is by and large happening because of climate crisis and climate change. So somewhere it is cloud burst, somewhere it is flash flood, somewhere it is drying up the sources, somewhere sea level is rising. So water is creating a lot of havoc all over world. Similarly, in Northeast also we are having a lot of conflicting situation and crisis. Wherever we try to tame the natural water sources, there is conflict situation, there is question of livelihood, damages, so many things. So our stories are almost running around these issues. So I hope today's story will also be lucid and nice, and it will be covering many issues of local area. We have two speakers, very capable ones. So the first speaker is Nandini Thockchom. Nandini Thockchom has been Northeastern Coordinator for National Commission of Women in Delhi. And for a small time, she has been also working with Manipur State Commission for Women. She has been co-founder of Indigenous Perspective, which we all know. The second speaker is Manoj, who is a master degree in English and also teaching in a college in Gogamuk. He has been associated with different news channels. He also likes a lot to work on climate change, water issue, agriculture issue, and rural economy. Both the speakers are well known and well connected with the Northeastern different group. So I would like to request Nandini, please you can start your story.
Thank you, Ravi. Today I will be speaking about one village that is a floating village on Loktak Lake. The name of the village is called Champu Kangpok. Kangpok is a hut and Champu is the name of the small village. So this is I think this will be the only floating village in a freshwater lake in India. And it is also recognized under the aegis of the Ramsar Convention. So the the story that I'm going to relate now is about those people living on the floating huts. So, and it's very difficult to imagine a life on water, 24 hours living, cooking, working, and also earning a livelihood. So this is the story. So Jampu Kampu, earlier the people used to come and do fishing in this on this lake, and then they somehow built a hut. One person called Champu. This is a story, a small story. So he built his hut, and then he used to rest and all while fishing. Then his family came. Then many other people joined him. So that's how the village came about. And these are made on pumdis. Pumdis are it's essentially a thick mass of aquatic vegetables that are grown in the lake. So it's also very thick. It's about 2 meters high. The thickness is about 2 meters, so they can easily live on it. And so that is a small introduction to the village. And so in this village, there are now about 166 floating huts with a population about 500 people living there. And most of them are only doing fishing. And of course, they grow there are a lot of aquatic vegetations that grow around. So they also sell that to the people who live outside the lake. So till the early 80s, this water body, as we all know, was a natural freshwater wetland system formed as a continuum of land and water. Then there are many wetland systems that are attached to Loktak also. So during the lean season, the water used to drain out, and most of the area emerge as land, and they can do agriculture on it. And then once the monsoon comes, then the water from the surrounding catchment areas will fill in, and then the whole area will get transformed into a huge vast water body. So during the lean season, during the lean season that the pumdis will touch the ground, and they grow taller as they get in touch with the ground and with the rich nutrient soil. So this is how they, I don't know how you can use the imagination to visualize their houses and how they're living. So then I will again now talk about the name of the village is Champu Khangpok. Khangpok means a hut, and the hut is normally built on, as I said, vast this water vegetation, and it can be moved. It normally moves along with the wind because it's not rooted to the ground. So, and since it is vegetation, they sometimes get decayed, so they have to change it. They have to change it within once in about 3 to 4 years. They have to abandon it and find another spot, and they will build another, another place, another pumdi, another vegetation to build their houses on. So houses are very simple. They are built with water-based plants, including reeds, which are found in abundance in the lake. And the floor is normally made of bamboo or sometimes wood, and the walls again made of reeds and straw. There are a lot of different kind of reeds that grow in the lake. So and for roofing, they normally now use tin sheets. So, and as all Meitei houses, they all faces the east, and the only inlet to the hut is a small door. There are no windows, and that space is used for cooking, sleeping, drying for fishes, and any other activity that has to be done in the normal housing, in the normal household. So the main occupation of these people living in these huts are, of course, fishing. And it is done by men, both men and women. They have equal role. So collection and contribution, distribution of fish is, buying and selling is normally done by some middleman that comes to the lake from outside the Loktak lake. So the men normally do the heavier this thing, like they confine themselves to the harder work, and which brings to higher productivity also. And they put the fishing gear. The fishing gears are laid early in the morning, and then they are checked for fish. Women use the net. Women use the lift net, and they contribute also to the production of fish. And then it's usually the women who does all the selling, and also even drying of fish, and also the disposal of the catch of the day. So there is equitable role in fishing between men and women on Loktak. So, and Loktak is a prime source of fish. It's in, I mean, I'm not going to give the dates and all, but it is estimated that about 60% at least of the fish catch comes from Manipur, comes from Loktak itself. And mainly we are, the people from Manipur are all fishy vegetarians. We all eat fish, even though they sometimes call vegetarians. So fish is, like, 75% of the people consume fish, which is also the main source of protein, and that comes from Loktak. So the economy of these people living in the kangpoks, that is the huts, is really a nature-based economy, because normally the resource comes from nature itself. These are not, they don't have fish farms as such. These are all the wild fish. But after the Ithai barrage, there has been a major shift in the ecology of the lake, and so there has been an immense loss of indigenous varieties, and now it is more of Indian carps like silver carp, grass carp, and common carps, and all, which have replaced the traditional variety of fishes which used to be available earlier. Because when the Ithai barrage was built, the pathway of the freshwater fish was blocked. The barrage also disrupted the natural passages of fishes that comes all the way from Burma water to lay eggs upstream, even in Ukhrul district, in different parts of the river and wetlands. So that has been an immense loss of our aquatic life, both in fishes and also in vegetation. So now the people living in this wetland have a history of maintaining the social relation and the production system. And they have tried every way to resist any forces that have tried to change this system. So way back, the government had tried to open some cooperative fishing society and all, but then it didn't really work out. And then because of the Ithai barrage that has been built on the Manipur River, which blocked the water, of Loktak from flowing out. And the water of Loktak has to be maintained at a certain height of some 7, 6, 8 meters to feed the turbines of the hydroelectricity project. So this has become a rather a nuisance for the livelihood and also in the living quality of the people living on the Loktak Cliff. Then now there are new modern system of governance that has been imposed upon the people, which is not necessarily for their benefit. And so this is the way that people, the fishing folk, have been coming together to resist all kinds of developmental project that has been planned on Loktak, because it's a huge. It has been for mooted as a huge boost for tourism and other things. So after converting this natural lake into almost an artificial reservoir for hydropower generation, and in this process, the people who have been marginalized are the ones that have been living on the lake and who are actually the guardians of the lake. So with the water level kept at a constant level, the method of fishing has also had to undergo certain modifications and innovations. For example, the traditional fishing nets were small and made of simple cotton and stuff, but now people have to use larger nylon nets and things like that. So the pressure to use bigger nets have also risen from increase of population in the number of families that are now living on the lake. And this also causes depletion in fish population and also a small, some kind of disruption in the natural aquatic ecosystem. So the main question, the main thing that we want to talk about is like, who has the final right over Loktak Lake, whether it is the user and the protector of the lake that has been the owner, who should be the real owner of the lake, like the fishing community. So because anything that the government plans, it is planned without the consent and even the information of the informing the fishing folk that stays on the Loktak Lake. So and the people who don't live on the lake don't know the dynamics of living in the lake and what is good for the lake. And in this regard, I just want to mention that there has been a huge impact on the people. The dam also and the various developmental work that has been taking place. And the people who live there, they live in a vast expanse of water, but it cannot be used for drinking purposes. So you can imagine the problems they have. And then it is also the dumping ground for all the wastes that goes from the city. It is contaminated, because the rivers that feeds into the lake comes from the city. So it is heavily the solid waste and plastic is also polluting and piling up in the lake for years. Then I'm talking about the problems they have. Then the lack of this thing, there's no proper toilet facilities. The residents normally dig a pit into a mass of floating pools, and that is used as toilets. And then the government sometimes blame the lake dwellers for unhygienic toilet practices that is polluting the lake. But then the residents are fully aware of this problem and they expect the government to find ways to solve it, as they don't have any idea how to address this. But then this is not the main response. This is not the main cause for the pollution in the lake, because human waste, other human waste comes from all around the city, from the urban locations of Imphal. Then another problem is because there is a Loktak Lake, Manipur Loktak Lake Protection Act, which terms is dwellers and the people who live on the huts as occupiers and encroachers. And just recently, even in June 2020, the Minister of Environment and Climate Change over here said in the local press that local fishing community must be evicted from the lake as they are polluting the lake. And this is as latest as 2020, June 2020. See, fishing is life for the people people staying in this Kangpoks and the Pumdis on the lake. And for generations, people living around the lake prior to the dam primarily belongs to the fishing community. They also did agriculture, but after the lake became a reservoir, agriculture is no more. It cannot be continued anymore. So, and this is the post-dam scenario. But the state government does not recognize these dwellers, these residents, as fishermen and fisherwomen, as they do not have land titles that can, and so that they have the right to rear fish in their own areas. The recognition of fisher as a legal entity is now very important to secure their rights to live and also for their livelihood and to further the business interest and enterprise. So then another problem is their place of the place where they are residing is systematically denied by the state because of the various acts that terms them as occupiers and encroachers, and not persons in a floating village with rights of fishing and residence in the lake, as has been there ages ago before the dam. Then there are other issues that can be also addressed. which is like cleansing the water of the wetland from the kinds of human waste that has been floating in the plastic and the toxic pollutants. And there has to be a way to ensure that urban and this agricultural waste do not enter the lake. Then, as I said, they live in an expanse of water, but they have no, they cannot drink the water. And so securing safe and some cleaning drinking water for the lake dweller is, a need of the hour. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier about the toilet, which is very important for the for the residents, proper disposal of household waste. So in the end, I just wanted to say that Loktak is very important in our history, in our culture, and violating Loktak is also, a kind of an upfront attack on womanhood and livelihood of the fisher folk. And so let's see what we can do to sort of regenerate and sustain the lake. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nandini. I know all other participants who are listening to this story have many questions, but we will park them at the end. Anybody can ask Nandini about their questions and queries. Of course, this whole story is a unique one for the Northeast and also for India, where this floating village and fisher folk practicing livelihood on the lake, and there are so many government restrictions and all kind of laws restricting them. As I said, that whenever you want to tame the flowing water, there will be problems of livelihood and so many other things. So naturally, you are losing the variety of fish and all. This all happened everywhere in the world where the fish was lost of local community. Anyway, we will keep on discussing on this issue. Now we have another speaker. He is Manoj Gogoi.
Today I am going to present one story that is from the Dhemaji district, and these people are facing a massive water crisis, but they are not counted what the numbers Guruji present in his introductory space. He spoken about the billions people are facing that the water scarcity, and now I am going to speak about the story of the Pasani camp, an area. It probably comprises of 12 to 14 villages, and just 1.5 decades ago, when I got to read some of the headlines in the national and local newspapers, so that women walked 14 kilometers a day for drinking water, for potable water. So, but this story is happening here, but those stories were actually from Gujarat or from Rajasthan and the water scarce parts of India, but it is just 12 kilometers away from my house, that is from Gugamo, that a man or a woman walks always 12 to 14 kilometers for bringing drinking water. So it is a very pathetic situation, because people are living here without water. The area is the Pasani Camp area is just near the foothills of Himalaya, that is on the border of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. And when I visited there, first they told me that you come in the morning to see how people collect water. Then I went there in the morning at 6-7 o'clock. Then I saw that many people were coming with their vessels to carry water to their home from very small rivulets. That is, they are terming it just nala. That is, nala means drain. That is the Saulva nala. this is in high altitude. This is a high altitude area, so the groundwater is not easily reachable, because the ground, if any tube, hand pump, or installed there, the water cannot uh, get from the hand pump. And there is also this is only the clean drinking water source, that is Saulva Nala. The another was there is called Naharjan Nala. Naharjan Nala is in the middle of the area, and so people, but it is but the distance, but it is because it is in the middle of the area, so it reduces the distance of the people. And so but the water is very filthy in that Naharjan Nala. It cannot be used for household purposes, and during the winter it dries up. There is no water in, but it is seasonal, only flows in the monsoon season. So I am I also wanted to tell you that one person died in that area, because the man died in 2012 in the month of June, that is the monsoon season. And actually they were trying to dig a well for water, and when they reach 25 feet, then the man feel, that is Ziten Pegu, the name was, and yacht of that area, and he felt some respiratory problem because some of the issues in the depth, and he died there. And who and some other yachts tried to rescue him. They also felt the same respiratory problem, and they were admitted in a hospital in Kogamuk for treatment. And so this is a very critical situations, because local people are now saying that in the till the 80 feet they don't found water. There is a rock structure there, so it is very difficult to install the pumps there. And during the winter seasons there is no vegetation. It is actually falls under the Subansiri Reserve Forest area, and the village is established there after the earthquake of 1950. And when I asked those people, why are you coming to this place? Because the place is there is no water here, and you are doing so much hard work in collecting water. Then they responded to me that actually they were displaced in another place by flood. So the people in that place are not from one community. They are a mixed community, because the people when they are from different locations, and when they were there in the earlier time, 2-3 decades ago, the forest department also disturbed them when they wanted to grow some banana tree or the lemon tree. They used the elephants to destroy their houses and the trees in their homes land. And the occupations of those families are now only daily wage earner, and the high jobs who are doing there in the government sector are the Anganwadi workers or ASA workers, or the ward member from those places, but there is no any government employees in these villages. And when I talk to the women and the men, then in the village, that is Salvanala, then they inform me that these they are facing immense problem. They come to the Nala like the morning birds. They are all the family members came to the river for their morning activities, that is washing clothes, washing the bathing, and other activities. And the women also uh, told me that they faces acute problems, that they feel the neck pain, shoulder pain, and the waist pain, because they carry 2-3 times water in a day. And the nala is a very deep nala, because the slope is very steep, and very steep, and it may be probably 30 feet. So it is very difficult to carry water in their head and in their waist. And I also met there some little boys and girls who are less than 5 years old. They are also carrying the water in the large vessels, but the in small quantity. How much they can lift. And the toddlers, that means 3 years old boys or girls, they carry water into water bottles. And their main problem is the water, and it is affecting their occupation and schooling also. When I talked to them, they told me that when we collect water, we are daily wage earner, we needed to reach our workplace at 8 o'clock. They are working some in the tea estate, tea gardens, or in some of the villages in Arunachal Pradesh. So they are getting some difficulties in reaching their places, workplaces. And the school children, I don't want to name them. They told me that they often get late to the school, and during the exam time, it becomes more difficult for them. And a few women laughed and joked when I asked, why did you marry to a village? Uh, uh, Despite these issues. Then the women, some of the women told that they didn't know this was the problem, and who knows that they do not want to marry the youth from this area. And these are the issues there. And uh, now they are carrying water only. The male, those who are male in that area, they carry water in the bicycles. They are coming from 4 kilometers away from the Nala. And if they comes 2-3 times, then what will be the what will be the number in kilometers? That means they are at least, they walk at least 15 to 20 kilometer a day. The students, the children also say like that, because they are always coming to the village 2-3 times. And I also interacted with them. And what do you do if the water ends in your house at night? That simply told that we go to the Nala with by bearing torchlight, or we lend some water from our nearby house. That is, we need to give them back in the morning. We bring water from my neighbors in a certain quantity, and that much of water have to be returned in the morning. These are the issues there. And if some guest, guest goes to their house, relative goes to the go to the village for go to the villages for staying some days, they come in a one night because they didn't know that what is the conditions of the water there. And the women are also saying that they are facing some problem in their privacy, because they need to bath in the nala in front of the public and the crowd. And I also saw the when it rains, the people practices rainwater harvesting because they use some local materials like they peel up the trunk of banana trees and they use to collect uh, the roof water that is and they keep in a they keep in a drum. And also we see that is the sanitation problem is there. They cannot bring water for sanitation purposes from there. Open defecation is there, and there are so many problems. And now they actually came to the area for a better life, for a better life and livelihood. But now from that place, they are fleeing because of the water crisis. They are probably most of the people are displaced by the water, and again here displaced by the water. That is, there is a scarcity of the water, and it is a huge issue. I think we didn't know that we thought that the water is available in our area, and we didn't know that how the people are facing acute water crisis. There is no water for their household purposes, and it is affecting from the children to the elderly men and women in this area. We now I think we need to think about the quantum of water. The per capita water quantity is heavily decreasing in some parts of our places. This was my story, and simply I summarize my story.
Thank you, Manoj. Your story is it's like there is a village near Cement River. So the river is close by, but the water, if you try to extract, is not coming out. So there are many villages which are near the riverbed, but you cannot install a hand pump or a well. That is, the soil condition is not very friendly. Because if there is a lot of boulder underneath, then you cannot do digging because the rig gets spoiled. So rigging is not problem if you have a small pebble and boulders underneath. This is number one. Like you said in your story, that boy fainted underground. So this fainting is because of unknown gases. Whenever you dig wells or you do mining, there are some uncertain unknown gases which can cause that. And see, the per capita water is in the emergency situation is 40 liter per person per day. Now this 40 liter per person per day is as per international standard. Now if you say that this quantity will be assured by government, now then government will come out with the story that these people are on the forest land. Now, if the entitlement word is forced, then if they are on the forest land, they will not be included in the development schemes or so. So these are few technical problems with the current government. Now we have to see that how this Pasoni Camp village is becoming a revenue village, and government counts it in their revenue village, and then the developmental program comes, and then the water scheme of PHE is installed there, and the problem can be sorted out. But similarly, in Northeast India, there is lot many villages, like all the hilltop villages has a lot of acute problem of water. They have to carry water from down and carry it to the hilltop. That is one. Number two, the rainwater also, as you said, that they peel of banana stem, they are using as a pipe, temporary pipe to collect the water. Now, that is the condition in many villages of hilltop villages. in India. The people use selek. Selek is a thick bamboo, 3-4 bamboo on their back to carry water from the 3-4 kilometers down the hill, and then keep on walking kilometers top of the village. So this condition is there in Northeast. We that if it is a revenue village, then we should keep a good pressure on the government, and PIL and all sort of court cases and all should be done if it is revenue village. But if it is not revenue village, if it is unauthorized occupation of the land, and most of the riverside villages which are occupied, majorly forest land villages where flood ravaged population have been settled in Assam, in Majuli also, in Dhemaji, in Lakhimpur, everywhere. So for those villages, the development is becoming a question mark. Anyway, these are the story outcomes which we have to work as a group to sort out, solve as much as possible in future. I would like to request participants to ask their queries and questions to Nandini and Manoj Gogoi.
Yeah. I have a question to Nandini. Those families who are residing in Loktak, they must be having their children and all. So whether they have a school facilities over there for the children of those families?
We've started a Loktak the floating school just about two years back before the pandemic happened, and then it is not functioning properly, and we're trying to revive it. But then otherwise, the families that live in the Loktak Lake also have other households in the neighboring areas outside the lake. So sometimes, and they most of them live in hostels or in boarding schools, nearby or maybe a little further away, even in Imphal. But this is a very interesting question because of the pandemic, the children also, the schools were closed and the hostels were closed, so they all had to come back to the the huts that are on the lake, and that was a real problem for them because space, and then they can't move out to buy groceries things. So it was very problematic till now because Manipur is still facing a lot of problems. So there is a floating school that has been open, but it is not functional right now, and we are many groups are trying to again look for some funds to restart it. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, and moreover, those families who are there in the boat house, whether they have land also.
See, it has all been immersed, and there is a problem. Further details maybe my colleague Ram can discuss, but then those have all been inundated under the Itai barriers with the agricultural land that they had. They sometimes have some of them have homestayed in. There are some islands also on the lake. They have some homestays on the islands that is also on the lake, but they don't have land. That's why I mentioned earlier that they don't have land title, which identify them as fisher folks.
Then the other entitlements, like the PDS and the other entitlements, whether they get all these facilities.
Those people who are registered in land, now they're deregistering from there, and now they're registered inside the lake as a floating village. The PDS, the Aadhaar, and other IDs are now being slowly shifted to inside the lake. Therefore, they say even during the COVID time, we had a lot of difficulties because the rations are not available in the middle of the lake. So those issues still remain. It'll take some time to kind of move to the middle of the lake.
Okay, and the schools are government schools or private schools?
It's a private school. It's a private school as of now, but the government, we had a meeting with the DC recently. The government will soon have their own school inside the lake.
Hello, any more questions to both the speakers?
Good evening, everyone in the panel. I have a question to Nandini Thockchom, madam. So the thing is, I'm very much fascinated about the idea of Loktak Lake, how the humans and the animals have been living there without harming one another for decades. But recently, I have read one article where it has been said that the dancing deer, which is maybe also the state animal of Manipur, has already gone up to the point of extinction. So I want to know about the thing that how the wildlife on the Loktak lake has been living side to side with the human beings there, and is there been any conflict between the animals and human while residing side by side in the Loktak habitat there? We have such kind of thing happening in Assam itself, human and animal conflicts. So has been the human habitat affecting the habitat of the animals? I just have that question to you, sir, Mr.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very important question. We are now having problem with the model that is being promoted as the conservation model, which is the typical Western model of something like Kaziranga. For those of you in Assam and
Yes.
also what is Assam,
Yeah.
This 40 square kilometer, the 40 square kilometer of what is known as the only floating national park in the world, where Sangai there exists.
Yes.
This was once a demarcated. Those places are places where people go for food, for getting materials for building your house. I think Nandini was talking about the materials that you construct the floating houses. A lot of vegetables, aquatic vegetables, all of that were there. So once you declared as a national park, then you can't access those. So there's always been some fight, something going on between the and the local fishing community. So you literally kick people out. So now government wants to extend floating food to Kaziranga to show that people have done so good after allowing the conservation, the national park of Kaziranga, which
Yes.
we know from stories that there's always been a conflict. There has been a conflict, and that government has to recognize the fact that you have to address that problem. Local people always are at the receiving end from the forest department, from the government. That is there.
Okay. Thank you.
So I again want to thank every participant who have participated today, and again thanking the organizers, Keshav, Satrudhara, and Ram, and others who are closely associated with this webinar, web meeting, rather you can say the storytelling meet. I also thank all the participants for providing their time and listening patiently with from our speakers. Thank you very much. Thanks again to the speakers for their special effort. Thank you all.